Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that's about to become a very big deal for Australian businesses, the Climate Transition Plan.
So let's jump right in, because a really significant change is coming. It's going to affect how thousands of Australian companies operate and, crucially, how they report on their climate strategy. If this isn't on your radar yet, it absolutely needs to be.
Okay, so first things first, let's really set the scene and get our heads around what's changing. And trust me, this isn't just another piece of corporate paperwork. We're talking about a pretty fundamental shift. Mark your calendars because starting January 1st, 2025, the Australian government is rolling out mandatory climate reporting. The whole thing is being guided by brand new standards from the Australian Accounting Standards Board. You'll probably hear the term AASB-S2 thrown around a lot. Basically, this is the new rulebook everyone's going to have to play by. But here's the thing. This new standard goes way beyond just numbers. It requires companies to actually disclose their strategy for managing climate risks and opportunities. And a huge piece of that puzzle, the part we're really focusing on today, is something called a transition plan. So that's the big question, right? What on earth is this climate-related transition plan that pretty much everyone is going to need? Let's break it down. The official definition, as you can see, is a little dense. It talks about targets, actions, and resources for moving to a lower carbon economy. And while that's all technically correct, it doesn't quite capture the business reality of what's going on here. So let's put it in plain English. The real business logic is this. It's your strategic plan for how to cut emissions without driving up your costs so much that your customers head for the hills. It's about staying competitive, it's about survival, and even thriving in a world that's changing fast. And this brings us to a really critical point. This has to be a real actionable strategy. It cannot just be a document you create to tick a box. Because if it's not supported by genuine intent and real action, you could expose your business to the massive risk of being accused of greenwashing. So let's get practical. How do you actually create a plan that's credible? Well, you can think of it like a fitness plan for your business's carbon footprint. You need to know your starting point, have a clear goal, and lay out the exact routine to get you there. The blueprint for getting this right really boils down to 4 key steps. We're going to walk through each one, from measuring your baseline all the way through to making this a core part of your company's DNA. First up, step 1, establishing your baseline. It's like that first weigh-in at the gym. You've heard it a million times, but it's true. You can't manage what you don't measure. So you have to calculate your current emissions across 3 different categories or scopes. Simply put, Scope 1 covers the emissions you directly control, like from your own facilities or vehicles. Scope 2 is from the energy you buy, your electricity bill, basically. And then there's Scope 3, which is often the trickiest. It's everything else in your value chain, both what you buy and what you sell. Understanding these is the key to figuring out where you can make the biggest impact. Once you've got that, you can move on to step 2, assessing your business model. All right, now for what I think is the most important part, turning all that assessment into real, concrete action. Because a plan is pretty useless if it just sits on a shelf collecting dust. So, step 3 is all about implementation. For your Scope 1 emissions, maybe that means updating your vehicle fleet. For Scope 2, you could switch to LED lighting or even install solar panels. And for Scope 3, it's about engaging your entire value chain, starting those really important conversations with all of your suppliers. And finally, step 4 is about embedding these changes so they become second nature. This isn't a one-off project. It's about changing behaviors, updating procedures, setting up proper governance, and constantly monitoring your progress to make sure it all sticks. And the source material makes a hugely important point here. Only set public emission reduction targets after you have a robust monitoring system in place. Without it, you're just making a high-risk guess that could get you into legal trouble. With proper monitoring, it becomes a credible, data-driven strategy. So after all that, what should you really take away from this? Let's connect all the dots and look at the bigger picture. If there's just one thing you remember today, let it be this. A transition plan should not, I repeat, should not be seen as just another compliance chore. You have to see it as what it really is, a powerful strategic tool to build a more resilient, more efficient, and more competitive business. This whole process is designed to help you cut costs, spot risks, and strengthen your supply chain. It's about adapting and ultimately future-proofing your business. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. This isn't just about meeting a new rule. It's a choice. So how will your business choose to see this challenge?
as just a box to tick, or as a genuine opportunity to build a stronger company? The answer to that question will likely define your future.